Welcome to Winton Motor Raceway and round 4 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Well, Team Nissan have been extremely hard to beat at Winton over the past 4 years, and I'm quite sure my co-commentator Alan Moffat feels the same way as I do. They'll be tough to beat here today, Alan.
They will be, Mike. The four-wheel drive comes into its own here, short jig-jag corners, and they only have to pick the right tyre combination and they'll be in good shape.
The Peter Jackson Dash early on Sunday morning provides plenty of action. And, of course, the draw for starting positions is even more interesting. Today, of course, we saw Mark Skaife get off from the front row. Second spot held by Glenn Seton in the number 30 Peter Jackson Sierra, and right behind him was Jimmy Richards, who unfortunately just couldn't come up with victory. So Jimmy Richards was fastest in practice yesterday, but Mark Skaife has pole for today, and Glenn Seton alongside him. They sat there, Skaife went out, and so did Richards. Through quickly went John Bow on the inside of Larry Perkins as they come down to the right-hander, and this is really just a funnel as they come off the straight. Then they work downhill slightly to another right-hander that sees the two Nissans, with Skaife opening it up to 3 car lengths over Jimmy Richards. Right behind him is Glenn Seton, then followed by John Bow. Next on the queue is Larry Perkins. Dick Johnson was up pretty smartly as they went through there, and I think perhaps then Peter Brock. That's the order. And you just can't beat that four-wheel drive car off the line, Alan Moffat.
No, you can't, but Glenn Seton was holding his engine beautifully. He looked like he was going to get a very good start, and just at the very last second before the light went to green, he backed off momentarily and stalled his slingshot shot, and that gave Jim Richards the chance he needed.
That's all Richards did need, because Skaife opens it up to about 5 car lengths coming down the back straight. And here's Mark Gibbs in the GIO coming down on the inside here of Peter Brock.
Certainly Bob Forbes expected this to happen, to see the GIO car pushing its way through the field. This car was very quick here on Friday and Saturday, but Mark admits that in qualifying he just stuffed it up. He just couldn't put a good lap together, and he ended up down the grid. But as you can see, the times of the grid were very tight, and certainly Bob Forbes expected Mark to push his way through the field, which he's doing now.
But I think Longhurst, Alan, is perhaps just a little bit closer. In fact, it's Brock who's starting to do a bit of defensive driving now to keep Tony Longhurst at bay. So keep an eye on this when they come through the S's and work the front straight, and particularly the braking area for the next right-hander. Now he's almost line astern, comes down the inside. If he can keep on under brakes, here he comes, moment of truth on the inside. And you watch Jones up on the inside. They're going to hang Brock out to dry here. Beautiful driving from the Bimmer pair. Fascinating stuff, this. David and Goliath as Tony Longhurst and Alan Jones in the Besnon and Hedges car muscle their way past Peter Brock. We take Dunlop race cam. Here's Tony Longhurst down the inside. Jones just sits right behind him. And they're in a lot of traffic here, as you can see, they're taking the right-hander at Penrite.
9 laps to go. This is the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th. And here comes Tony again.
He won't get Dick there, but he might be able to get him under brakes again, where he and Alan Jones were able to nobble Brock a couple of laps ago.
He's not quite close enough this time, and
he is now.
That's all he needed. That's all he needed.
Down the inside, let's see. There he goes on the inside. Now, can Johnson get back on the inside? Yes. Dick read that pretty good. He had to try and keep Alan Jones, but Jones goes snip, 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 and a bit of tug. Johnson's got one wheel in the rough, and this dice continues.
Well, these BMW guys are trying hard here today. They're really fair dinkum here, and you'd almost think that Alan Jones and Tony were changing gears in unison. Jones is determined to let Dick Johnson know the track is his. They need to get in front of this Sierra to go after the leaders.
This has been an outstanding performance as they come up to the line. Checkered flag ready, and it'll be Mark Skaife in the number 2 Winfield Nissan that gets across the line. Jimmy Richards in the number 1 Winfield Nissan runs in second spot. The Peter Jackson Sierra of Glenn Seton takes third. Perkins will be 4th. 5th will be Bow. 6th will be Tony Longhurst. 7th, Alan Jones. And let me tell you, that was a most entertaining touring car race. 10 seconds away from the start. Heat number 2, round 4 from Winton Motor Raceway.
Come on.
Racing, getting off the line first of all was Jimmy Richards, but I tell you what, it's everyone and his dog. They're 4 wide, dropping into the right-hander. That is the longest 10 seconds I can recall for ages. The 2 Winfield Nissans.
One of the shell cars spun on the opening corner there. Brock's involved as well. There's Wayne Park. I saw one, that was Johnson. I saw one of the shell cars spin in the middle of the pack there.
Whoa, Dickey catches it 360 and floors it, and that'll put some heat into the tyres. That was not the start that Dick Johnson needed. We'll have a look at that on replay later as we take them coming up into the top end. John Bower drops into the 3rd spot. Glenn Seton is 4th. Larry Perkins is 5th. And then Tony Longhurst is 6th. That's the order as they rush up through Tui's turn, now through Champion, and they come down the back straight. The 2 Nissans out very, very comfortably at this stage.
It's going to be interesting to watch the progress of the BMWs in this race too, Michael. They're already looking outside Larry Perkins there. Larry did a very consistent run. The car's obviously well balanced in the first heat, but the BMW's tyre wear will probably just give them the edge in this second race.
Coming up across the strike, the complete of the first lap. Jim Richards as your race leader as we pick up through the replay here as John Bower gets down in there. Here comes Johnson. Nothing untoward there, so something has happened on the inside of Johnson. Wayne Park goes the outside. Brock gets caught up on the way through, and I think it may have even been Paul Morris on the inside. And that's how Dickey wound up facing the wrong way.
Johnson into the pits now. Get some new tyres on there. They'd be nice and flat spotted. Skaife just took Richards for 1st place. Snuck down the inside of the corner there. John Bower on the Shell Sierra, showing great consistency in the Shell cars. As I said, with these new Dunlop tyres, they're doing a lot of work, getting good consistency out of them around Winton. Then there's Seton. So it's the 2 Nissans and the Sierra Brigade, as we saw in the first heat. Larry Perkins in 5th place.
Yeah, mate, I can hear you, Mike.
Can you? What actually happened? Looked like you got nobbled from the inside.
Well, I think Brocky's obviously losing his touch a bit. He sort of just T-boned me in the door. But that's part and parcel of what we're here for, I suppose.
Yeah, but no one wants to go out in the first turn. You put a lot of effort into it. I was going to say it's a pretty tight first turn anyway.
It's a very tight first corner, and there's actually a lot of incidents happen there, but there's not very far between there and the start, so they're the sort of things that happen every now and then.
Probably most of the sparks at Winton flew at the press conference following qualifying yesterday. Larry Perkins opening up in the biggest tirade about a non-appearance by Holden Racing Team. I alluded that some weeks ago. They're only running selected rounds this year. John Crinnan of Holden Racing Team was pointing out to me at the recent Dunlop Media Awards that 65% of their budget for 1992 is going to Tom Walkingshaw for the development of the VP car for next year.
Yes, Mike, but next year is next year, and I thought the Pentagon operates in this year, we spend this year's money, and next year we spend next year's money. So I'm not really buying that. They represent the factory. Holden, the fans around the country have relied on the Holden involvement. They've gone to all the trouble of producing the Group A cars over the last 5 or 6 years, and then all of a sudden life's too hard for them. I haven't got a lot of sympathy for the situation.
No, well, I just point that out. John has pointed out also that he's under a lot of pressure from a lot of Holden dealers around Australia who also want to know, but that is that's the factory line that 65% of their budget for 92 has gone to the development of what they believe will be a winning car next year. Let's just wait and see.
Where they are, and driving quite consistently.
Oh, Lightning Larry opens up the bags.
Yeah. 2 tires gone off. That's all that was. The car leaning into that corner, not a very fast corner, but the full lateral force of the weight of the car. And
big dust cloud. Can't see who that is.
Now, whether the 2 BMWs can force the issue with Glenn Seton and John Bower, we'll have to wait and see. Larry's dropped back. He has probably lost about 5 or 6 car lengths, plus a couple of rungs on the ladder as well.
I'd say that beyond, for sure, the aggressiveness of the 2 yellow cars, certainly there, just the slightest mistake, Glenn slipped off the pace. Larry's nailed him. So this is one thing you can say about the Winton course. It might be a little bit on the Mickey Mouse twisty side, but by the same token, make the slightest mistake and you're out of the race.
Okay, Jimmy Richards, we take Nissan race cam. He rides behind team partner Mark Skaife as they go up into the left-hander. Now just listen to the engine revs, and that'll tell you how hard they're working.
Well, I think my idol on my old Vespa scooter used to run a little higher than that.
John Bower is hanging on. And if he's come this far, Alan, I guess there's a good chance he's going to do it.
He could actually pull it off. I think this is a sterling job. He's really doing well. And you have to compliment the fellows behind that are aggravating such an aggressive attack in such a sporting manner. They're not touching. We've seen him, couldn't get any closer than that.
Just look at this. The acceleration out of this turn is sensational. But obviously, JB uses the line, which is across to the right for the next turn. That's not to say that Tony doesn't keep in on the paint and just keep worrying him all the time, then gets the half a slingshot, but got the car sideways on the exit, gets a finger out the window. So Tony knows he's rattling him.
Well, we're one bonnet down already. I can see 3 dents in the front of that BMW. That's one bonnet for Monday morning repairs.
I think Ronnie Meacham wouldn't mind paying for those. They've got 2 laps to go, and here's Longhurst perfectly positioned, but they came up on a slower car, and that was the end of that one. Now, Glenn Seton is back in it. He wants a slice of championship points, but the chances of Glenn being able to hose off the 3 in front of him are negligible, because Bauer gets away just a touch here from Tony Longhurst.
Well, the further Glenn slips down the field, the further he gets away from the Nissans in the points chase. He's 3rd in the championship at the moment, so if the Nissans get 1st and 2nd and he gets 6th, that's really going to damage his championship hopes.
Well, that's what it's looking as Glenn goes up and takes Alan Jones out.
Yes, definitely.
And all's fair in love and war. I guess Jonesy won't beef too much about it, but he really dived in, and that's what you really call being hung out to dry.
Meanwhile, Mark Skaife's back in 1st position. Jim Richards in 2nd. And 2 wins from 2 starts.
You started all of this, Alan, with your form finish.
Yes, thank you very much. But the only trouble, Michael, I'm having trouble remembering how long ago that was.
Well, they take the 1 lap signal. So 1 to go for Mark Skaife, leading from Jimmy Richards. 3rd still to be resolved, John Bauer. Tony Longhurst.
I was going to say, Michael, that BMW is getting more and more dented every time they come round here. Look at the bonnet.
Well, he's put a great show on for the fans here. There's Bauer, he's gone.
He's done it.
He said, that's enough, I've had it.
Hang on, John.
Bow off into the kitty litter.
Yeah. Did well to save it. Did well not to hit a fence. That was a little unfortunate, I think.
He will not be a happy boy.
Lost his battle with his frustration, and
if it rains, he's okay. The wipers are on. Final lap, and it's Mark Skaife in car number 2. The Winfield Nissan. Jimmy Richards closing it up for a form finish. Obviously, it's been set for Mark Skaife to win the championship this year. They come down the back straight. That's going to put Longhurst up into 3rd spot. I think Glenn Seton probably to 4th, and Alan Jones maybe 5th. That looks like the order as they come to the S's for the final time. We've got an Australian Touring Car Championship by Shell that's well and truly alive. Round 4 at Winton, the Nissans for Winfield strike across the line. It's Mark Skaife to win it from gentleman Jim Richards. The giant killing performance from Tony Longhurst takes 3rd. Glenn Seton picks up a 4th. Jonesy takes 5th. Perkins takes 6th.
Great effort. The Nissans, if you don't mind me saying, looked to be doing it pretty easy from the commentary box.
Oh, well, they're a very good car, and this sort of circuit suits them. So, you know, in the early part of the race, we got a bit of a buffer and then tried to conserve the tyre. We were waiting for either Glenn or the little BMWs to catch us.
So, points after 4 rounds. Mark Skaife for the Winfield team leads on 114. Jimmy Richards runs in 2nd on 99. Glenn Seton still in it, 90 points, clear of Mark Gibbs on 70. And Dickie Johnson rounds out the 5 with 68 points.